I think, to me, I'm just ultimately so impressed with who Shohei Ohtani is as a player. And this weekend, we learned once again why he is the GOAT on the field, off the field, in the dugout, in the clubhouse. I think that we learned from this team how you can take an incident that could break other teams. An incident like that would break the San Diego Padres. An incident.
大谷とラッシングは騒動後2人でダグアウトで話す姿も多く目撃され、またラッシングがハリス記者の取材に前に向いて進むとコメントを出すなど事態は前向きに進んでいます。ドジャース大ファンのジャーナリストの D マックとライター氏は司会を務めるポッドキャストでハリス氏の記事の考察と大谷の人となりを熱弁しました。その2人の会話を訳しました。ご覧ください。
You know exactly where we're going to start, Bill. That was a nice try by you. Of course, we got to pick up on the biggest story in Dodger baseball for the last couple of days, and that, of course, is Dalton Rushing and Shohei Ohtani, or as you would like to put it, Dalton Rushing versus Shohei Ohtani. We saw on Saturday,
because I have a response when you're done.
We saw on Saturday that Dalton Rushing hits a home run, and I believe it was you that said once we see a public display of support from Shohei Ohtani towards Dalton Rushing, you want to talk about it. And we saw that. I mean, he's hitting a home run.
Slap on the butt?
Slap on the butt. Maybe I will. Okay. But it was not just that. It was the smile on Shohei Ohtani's face. It did feel like there was a weight lifted off of Dalton Rushing, having had a big home run in that moment. And it was another great example of why Shohei Ohtani isn't just the greatest player in baseball, but I also think he's the greatest teammate in baseball. I think the rarest thing about Shohei Ohtani is, yeah, he's a great player, but it's the fact that he treats the clubhouse attendant just like he treats his MVP teammates. He treats everyone the exact same way. He knew the cameras were going to be on him, the spotlight was going to be on him, and he's very calculated. He knows when those moments occur, and I think that now we can definitively say that if Shohei Ohtani can forgive Dalton Rushing, if Shohei Ohtani can move on, we all can. Mr. Miyagi didn't quit on Daniel after he got knocked down. And I think that is a show of, hey, we can give our teammates support, even young ones that make mistakes. I thought that was the story of the weekend.
I got to tell you, I'm glad you went after me because I wrote something down that I was only going to go to if you took a little shot at me, D-Mac, here on D-Mac and Ryder. Wow, indeed. Well, I saw it over the weekend. By the way, the Mr. Miyagi Daniel thing is a great line that means absolutely nothing because no one is saying the relationships aren't even comparable. What do you mean?
The point is that
I understand that Mr. Miyagi was a mentor to Daniel. Daniel never punched Mr. Miyagi in the face or whatever the comp would be, ruined his chances.
But
Mr. Miyagi never went out there and I'm with Cobra Kai and then undercut his leg.
I mean,
that's the comp.
The point is,
yeah.
A young dude made a mistake, and someone that has the mentorship power of it all steps into the situation knowing that he did something wrong. And that's the thing about Shohei Ohtani is that he realized that whatever he did, for good or bad, was going to be magnified. There was another shot of Shohei Ohtani talking to Dalton Rushing in the dugout where they had a lengthy conversation. There was another shot of Dave Roberts doing the same thing. So guess what? Freddie Freeman said the entire clubhouse loves and embraces him and supports him. And Shohei Ohtani, I think he understands that the longer this is a distraction, it's a distraction that he doesn't want, right? It's a distraction that he doesn't need, and he doesn't like this negative energy. He really doesn't. He's thinking of the big picture. So I think that we learn from this team how you can take an incident that could break other teams. An incident like that would break the San Diego Padres. An incident like that would break a bad team or a wannabe championship team, not the Dodgers. You have front-facing MVP-level players. You have a future Hall of Fame manager that can address this thing very quickly and put it behind them because, mind you, this was probably, I want to say, the most polarizing moment of the year in all of Major League Baseball, in a moment where if you had a superstar that had an ego about it, he would have had his bags packed and he would have been gone. But that wasn't the case, and I think we learned a lot about Shohei Ohtani. He's someone that isn't just the best player on the team. He's the teammate every parent hopes their kid becomes. He's that guy that has that leadership quality, great player, great person, and we saw it on display.
Are you ready for my retort?
Bring it.
I want you to get it out. I want you to get it out, D-Mac. You're doing the thing that you always do.
Oh, wow.
You're doing the thing that you do on the Ohtani Dalton Rushing thing. You know I love you. You know you're my guy. You know you're the best Dodgers expert out there. No one at any point ever on this show argued that Ohtani was anything but an amazing athlete, teammate. No one ever went after the idea of Ohtani being a problem. Dalton Rushing being a problem. Dalton Rushing not playing well. Dalton Rushing not responding the right way. Dalton Rushing being broken by his tantrum and his lack of emotional control in a moment where he was the catcher for Shohei Ohtani, yes. And I saw this tweet this weekend, and I almost lost my mind that you put out there. Are you ready for this?
I tweeted. That could be
Dalton
okay.
Rushing, can I read this to you? Dalton Rushing crushed a home run. And after Shohei Ohtani smiled and patted him on the butt, with you so far, the idea that Shohei Ohtani was still pissed and was going to hold a grudge against him was bull, swear word. If Ohtani can forgive him and move on, maybe we all can. Do you know what a straw man argument is? It's
Of course
where you
I do.
exaggerate.
I took critical
or make
thinking at
up.
UCLA.
I can see that because you're really good at it. I was sitting around this weekend, and I was like, I actually rewatched some of our show, and I sent you a note about how, this is true, how talented you are. And I'm like, this guy's really good. And then I don't know why, I went through your ex, and I saw this, and I spit up what was probably my 5th beer of the night. I was so mad, dude. No one ever argued that there was never an idea that Ohtani was still pissed. That was never the question. The question was, can Dalton Rushing respond? Can he handle the weight of the mistake that he made? And I think the big thing, I think we agree on this, is he able to admit that he was wrong, that he made a mistake, that he can't throw a temper tantrum, that he can't get sideways with Ohtani and almost cost the Dodgers a moment like that? And I'll say this too, by the way. I don't think that question's answered yet. He's 1 of 7 since that Ohtani debacle. Can I call it a debacle? I just did.
I think it's fitting.
D Mack and
I think
Ryder
it's fitting.
Here on 97.1 The Fan, your home for Sports Talk 7 LA Fan. And by the way, so Jack Harris, who I don't know, but I've seen at a bar, at the California Post, did a great, this is really good beat writing. He did a great, I saw him at a bar. He did a really great story on Rushing. And Rushing sort of talked to him and went through it. And my response when I read this morning, with only 1 cup of coffee, was, this to me actually is more warning signs for Dalton Rushing. Not everything's okay. And then so I took him beat. I went to the gym. I called you. You didn't pick up. I was sad. I drove to work. I read it again. I'm still worried. Can I give you my worries and you tell me why maybe they're misplaced?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because no one's arguing that Shohei Ohtani was going to be mad forever, but I'm worried about Rushing.
Let's hear it.
Freddie Freeman was so candid. And all these quotes are really interesting. Rushing, to his credit, said, you never want to have a pitcher feel like you don't have their back. It's our job to make sure he really feels us on his side. So one, it's Rushing saying, not me, not you, not anyone else, that Ohtani felt like he didn't have his back. Here's the thing, though, that really worries me. Freddie Freeman was talking about where Freeman, along with Dave Roberts, went and talked to Rushing last week and tried to console him on that Wednesday, and everything's going to be okay in the dugout after that second inning. And part of what Freddie said was, we got to figure this out. Nothing is going to be better if you are just pissed right now, end quote. Not feeling bad, not I feel awful that I screwed up Ohtani's outing, not I made an error in judgment or I should have challenged. What Freeman I think is letting slip is that Dalton Rushing in that moment in the dugout was angry, was pissed off. And I read this and I thought, this is a guy who's out of control. And I was thinking how to tell you that the problem is Dalton Rushing is out of control emotionally and that he can't self-regulate. And then that can take the steadiest of ships like the Dodgers have and turn it upside down. But I don't have to, because Freddie Freeman said it as he went on with Jack Harris. Quote, we all love Dalton, but it's an emotional guy when he plays, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes we got to rein it in and not let it spiral. Because if you spiral during the game, you're striking out every at-bat. Then he's hitting himself in the dugout. Then there's no way you can have a clear mind when you're trying to catch, end quote. Doug, my worry, and I think we're aligned on this, and the point I was making last week, which I think we haven't been aligned on, because that's the point I want to make again, I'm not worried about Ohtani. I'm not worried about Ohtani slapping this guy on the butt. I'm not worried about Ohtani saying the right things through his translator, how great Dalton Rushing is. I'm worried about Dalton Rushing controlling his emotions, being angry, not being able to act mature enough to handle the moment, and screwing up Dodgers moments in Ohtani games going forward. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but that's my concern.
I think it's a valid concern. I will give you that. I will give you the fact that he runs hot. He's a very emotional player. And when you're young on a team that is cast with all-stars and MVPs, with championship aspirations, with all the pressure of being a three-peat or bust team, a team that them being one of the greatest teams and one of the greatest dynasties in baseball history, that is on the table for this team. So there's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. And I'm with you. Look, words are the blueprint, actions build the house, right? That's how it is. And I agree with you that he needs to live up to what he's saying. He needs to prove that what happened in Minnesota will not define him as a player in a negative way, that it could define him as a player in a turning point way. Also, in that piece written by Jack Harris for the California Post, there were some quotes from Mark Pryor, the Dodgers pitching coach, and at the end he said, sometimes you have to have some of those tough moments to get to the other side as well. So, look, the truth is, this is a sink or swim moment for Dalton Rushing, because I guarantee you 2-3 years from now, if he's not on this team, we're going to point to that. And I also think 2 or 3 years from now, if he is on this team, we're going to point to that moment too, because you can't show up the big show. We understand that. But also, it's more of that being an example of him letting his emotions get the best of him. And if you let your emotions get the best of you in a regular season game against the Minnesota Twins, Bill, you're in trouble, because this is a Dodgers team that's playing postseason games under the brightest lights possible on the big stages. So I'm with you. Either he turns this learning moment into a turning point moment and we see some of these antics go away, or we're going to say, hey, this is the beginning of the end for Dalton Rushing.
We're totally aligned. And by the way, I want to be clear. D Mack and Ryder, 97.1 The Fan, the voice.
The mental toll on Dalton Rushing because of the increased expectations and the enhanced role because of Will Smith is out. It's absolutely taking its toll on him. But I will say that for the Dodgers to be in this situation, knowing that, hey, with Will Smith out longer than they expected, this is an opportunity to go out there, evaluate Dalton Rushing in short order, see if they might want to go out there and get a Ben Rortvedt, a more veteran catcher to add some catching depth. So they have some decisions to make. But I also think this is another example of how this is Shohei Ohtani's version of the Dodgers. And Shohei Ohtani's version of the Dodgers is one that limits drama, whether that be someone showing up himself. Like I said, if Shohei threw the ball in the dugout and wanted to challenge that thing, bro, you better hit your head so hard that you get a concussion, right? You better absolutely.
We found agreement.
But I will say, too, I still think that we got to give him just a little bit more grace, knowing he's a rookie. And I think, to me, I'm just ultimately so impressed with who Shohei Ohtani is as a player. And this weekend, we learned once again why he is the GOAT, on the field, off the field, in the dugout, in the clubhouse.
I think the point about grace for Dalton Rushing is a great point. Can I try to add some nuance into this conversation? More. You just gave us a lot. I just want to put a little cherry on top of what you just said. The problem for Dalton Rushing is the real assessment, right? The ways in which we're going to have to give him patience isn't how he does, hits a home run, 1 for 7, whatever, over a couple games. It's how he catches Ohtani. That's only going to happen on Wednesdays, and it may not happen every Wednesday. And so my hope is that as we give him patience, Dalton Rushing gives himself some patience and understands that it may take 2 or 3 starts where he catches Shohei Ohtani, which could be a long time, to feel like we know where he's at. And in the interim, in his other opportunities, when he's playing baseball, not catching Ohtani, hopefully he can hit well, play well, and catch well with the other pitchers. Can I read you some of these comments at the Fan LA?
Let's hit it.
T-Rex 12. Overall, I'm glad the team chemistry hasn't really been disrupted, but Rushing has certainly left a sour taste in a lot of folks' mouths external to the team, and he will have to work on repairing that image. Thank you, T-Rex 12 at the Fan LA. I will say this. You've made the point. There may not be a better locker room, clubhouse in baseball to absorb, train, teach, protect, hopefully, maybe Dalton Rushing if he allows them to do it in this Dodgers clubhouse, which is something that you've said.